for technical violation of his probation. The problem was that he was popping wheelies on a motorcycle in Manhattan. So that kicked off a months-long Free Meek campaign, which culminated just this past summer with Meek's conviction being overturned and the foundation of the Reform Alliance by Michael Rubin and Meek Mill to champion criminal justice reform in the country. But before all that, there was a story about two men who became friends, and that's how this all began. So I wanted to start there. How did you guys get to know one another?
Well, I didn't really like him, by the way.
Sorry, I was presumptuous to call you friends.
Yeah. No, we met at the NBA All-Star game, I guess, I think 6 years ago now. We were randomly sitting next to each other. And, you know, Meek kind of in a similar way to me, always asked lots of questions. And the way I always learned in business was find smart people, ask lots of questions. And Meek was just asking me questions. Hey, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? And he had the same type of inquisitive personality as I did, and I think that just kind of made us gravitate to each other. I was involved as a partner in the Philadelphia 76ers. Meek was from Philly, 76ers fan himself, and started coming to games. We just started spending time together.
Meek, what drew you to Michael?
I was sitting next to Mike at a game, and I was taking a lot of pictures and stuff like that. He was asking me who I was. I was asking him who he was. And, you know, we actually happened
You literally didn't know who
No, I didn't know. I didn't know no team owners to the 76ers. And, you know, I ended up running into him at some basketball games, and we ended up hanging out. And, you know, we ended up hanging out over the years. And one day I just wanted him to see what court looked like for a guy like me when I go to court, because hanging around him, I kind of knew from his character, I kind of knew he wasn't familiar with the type of lifestyle I come from. I knew he probably knew about it, but, you know, I asked him to come to court, and, you know, 18?
2017, it was actually 2 years ago, I think, in the next, what day is today?
It's November 7th? 6th, thank you.
So for everyone to know, 2 years ago today is when Meek got sent to prison for not committing a crime. So when I sat next to him in a courtroom.
I probably would be coming home today, just now.
Wow.
Wow. From 2 years, November, was it 6?
Yeah, it was today, 2 years ago, crazy.
So I want to step back to your original sentence, Meek. And again, that conviction has since been overturned. But that was 11.5 to 23 months in county jail, followed by 10 years probation. And in your amazing Amazon series, which I recommend to everybody in this room to watch, you said that at the time, this was in 2008, this seemed like a good deal, considering the charges that you were facing and the resources you had available to you to fight them. So I want to go back to that mindset. Like, what was it like when you heard that sentence, 10 years probation? Did you think like, okay, that's not bad?
Nothing about it was a big deal. To me, it felt like a big deal. Just being trapped in the system. I got found guilty for pointing a gun at a cop. I think everybody in here know what happened when you point a gun. A black kid in America point a gun at a group of police officers. At least it'd be shots fired or somebody probably would lose their life. I got felony for a crime I didn't do. I got found guilty. And being from that type of environment, you know, you see that a lot. You get locked up, you might get charged with 40 charges. And if you don't have lawyer money, you can't afford an attorney, 9 times out of 10, you take a deal. And these charges go on your record. You might get half of the charges dropped and have go on your record. So to me, at the time, to my conditions, how I was living, that was normal to me. I was like 10 years of probation. Even though I didn't do the crime, I wanted to go home that bad that it sounded like a great deal to me. And as my years went on, I started to progress. I actually caught this case when I was 19 years old. I struck a record deal at the age of 22. So, you know, from them years, 19 to 22, I probably was in and out of prison, not for a new case, but, you know, getting out on bail. I got found guilty for the case. I ended up going back to prison. So in between them years, I was in and out of prison from never even being involved in crime again. And I got a record deal, and my life flourished. I started moving forward. I was working. I started making money, started employing people, doing charity. In some way, without committing crime, probation kept placing me back in jail without having to do with anything of breaking the law or committing a crime. And, you know,
I want to, like, for everybody here to sort of really understand what that was like. I mean, you were, you know, your career's taking off, you're flourishing. You were responsible for other people's livelihoods, and yet you still needed permission or to move out of state, right?
If I could just put it in my way, it's just basically like you trying to move forward in life and you have something pulling you back. Me, I always looked at it as if I'm someone with resources, I make good money, I have good friends who know a lot of people, I have a foundation. for the average person who does have a job and you get a technical violation, and a technical violation is not committing crime, and you get sent to prison for 90 days, and to the system, 90 days is lenient, but 90 days you lose your house, you lose your job, you can lose everything in 90 days, and you know, that's a setback that people cannot recover from. Me, I was able to recover from because of my drive and God's will. I made it through that, but you know, I've seen a lot of people fall victim to not being able to recover from a system that was built to actually help you re-enter society.
So when did you stop sort of seeing it just as you on probation and really see this larger system at work? When did you, stop seeing this as such a good deal and see this as a really systemic inequality?
To be serious, like to me, that was normal in my neighborhood. Everybody go to jail for like technical violations. Really, Mike and like Robert Kraft and like people who come from different worlds, like, you went to jail, you did 6 months for popping a willy in prison. You know, it wasn't normal in that world. To my world, that was normal. And as I traveled the world and traveled and been places, I kind of see that those things were only like aimed towards certain environments, and they only worked and was effective in certain environments and sent people to prison who looked like myself. And you know, I happened to be famous and just one of the victims. And when I got out of prison this time, when I seen people stand for me, march for me, people tweet Free Meek Mill and hashtag Meek Mill, I decided to use my platform for a better cause for the people who actually stood up for me. I'm going on 2 years since I've been out of prison doing panels like these, actually doing a lot of work with Rubin, me and the reform team, and trying to build.
So Michael, I want to talk to you because you were coming from a very different background, obviously. What was your awakening? Was it the courtroom 2 years ago? When did you were friends with me. When did you realize that this was happening?